Respondents said inflation has eclipsed the coronavirus as their number one concern. And our next guest agrees as far as the market is concerned. Let's bring in Dan Suzuki, Deputy Chief Investment Officer at Richard Bernstein Advisors. Why is inflation a concern for you, Dan?
Yeah, David, thanks for having me. I think that, Omicron is clearly not the big risk to portfolios today. I think inflation and the bubble in markets are the two big risks. So inflation, on the inflation side, I think, clearly there's some pandemic-related transitory components going on. Those are probably going to last longer than people think. But when you step back and look at the long-term drivers, I mean, Stephanie, mentioned, unit labor costs, rising. That tends to lead CPI. And then if you look at the components, the big component of shelter, that's going to continue to put upward pressure for the foreseeable future. But I think the bottom line is, if you step back, the economy is much, much tighter than it was way before anybody had ever heard of COVID, and those pressures are going to continue as the economy continues to grow.
And I know you've also, along with Richard as well, been talking about a bubble. What is it about this market that is giving you sort of concern that we may be, at least in some sectors, in a bubble?
Yeah, well, it's not just that the market's expensive. I mean, the market's been expensive for a while. I think the difference between a speculative market and a bubble is that a bubble pervades society. I mean, that's clear, everywhere you look, in every sector, in every conversation, people are talking about markets and what to invest in. And those are clear signs of the bubble, the use of leverage, the trading volume. So, all the criteria that we have, for a bubble have been met with flying colors. And so I think that's the biggest concern that people need to be positioning for. It's not just a risk, but because it creates this huge misallocation of capital, creates huge capital scarcities. And I think those are also the opportunities.